Welcome everyone to the zoning hearing board on June 8th, 2021. First thing we have tonight is a continuance request. We received a letter from Goat Logistics requesting a continuance till the next meeting, which will be July 13th. Do we have a motion to continue the meeting till next meeting, July 13th?
I'll make that motion to continue the application for Goat Logistics LLC to 5/13/2021.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Scott, can you pull the board?
Yes. Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Al.
Yes. Okay, so we'll continue that to July 13th.
Mr. Chairman, if we could just incorporate their letter they sent us, because they gave us an extension on the time to hear this matter. What we'll do is we'll just mark their letter as A1 for applicant one. We'll make it part of
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Our next one will be petition 1. Do we have them in the room yet? Charles and Elizabeth McAnulty.
Bring them in.
Is Charles and Elizabeth in the room?
They are in.
Okay. Hello, guys. First, we have Charles and Elizabeth McAnulty, 221 Suffolk Road, requesting a dimensional variance to allow a second opening to the public street. Guys, I'm gonna have you sworn in, and then we're gonna have our solicitor mark some exhibits.
Okay, do you both swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and you got some exhibits to mark, Keith?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB1, along with the accompanying statements from the McAnultys. 2 will be a letter from Jones Engineering dated May 6, 2021 in regards to this request. 3 is a site plan. 4 is the impervious calculation sheet. 5 will be 4 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 6 is the Zoom authorization signed by the applicants. 7 are the neighbor notification letters as required. 8 will be proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published May 25th and then again June 1st, 2021. That is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman. I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Okay. Okay, guys, what do you guys have going on?
Or-
Mute.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted or something.
I'm sorry.
We can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, guys. Would like to have a second apron installed here at our residence to make it easier for 2 important reasons. Anyways, one most important, I believe, is the safety issue. I do have a cargo trailer and a couple of pickup trucks that rather than leave on the street and cause obstruction of view, so on and so forth, and of course parking them across the front yard, which I don't believe is appropriate. So I would put them alongside my home and take them in and out of my property that way. Also, with some new or updated landscaping, we also have a tree that's in the front yard that's been there a good amount of years, and it's gotten wider over the years and just causes a blind spot when I begin to back over our current apron across our yard to the side of the house. So I thought this would be a better alternative than doing so for those 3 such reasons.
Okay. All right, we're gonna open up the board comment. Doug, anything?
You plan on putting a driveway, or you're just gonna leave it right through the grass from what I was seeing?
No, sir, no driveway. I'm going to leave it grass. In the future, if we are granted to have this, if if the ground is wet and becomes rutted up, if you will, I'll have it topsoil or modified and topsoiled over top. I don't plan on doing any type of asphalt or driveway, no such driveway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill,
I have none.
Scott,
Yeah, I guess that's just my concern too, is the drive, the fact of driving across the lawn like that. Do you plan to keep those vehicles to the backyard so that it doesn't become a front yard parking area?
Oh, absolutely. And that's another reason why the way the current apron is, I don't know if you guys can see the actual photos, but I would back straight in, and then the parking area that I would temporarily use, whether it was for a camper, trailer, or truck, would be alongside my house, away from, it would not create any type of obstruction of view from, an oncoming traffic or whatnot. And I would
Okay.
not be as of parking on the front yard.
Okay, also, just for consideration, I believe they make some kind of a structure that goes underneath of the soil that grass can grow through, and so that it doesn't crush down. I've seen that in places where people use motorhomes and bring them up on their lawns. So just something to consider for you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I have nothing. Thanks, Scott. Do we have any public comment? Is there anybody here from the public on this matter?
No public comment.
All right, so do we have a motion?
I make the motion. I move the application of Charles and Elizabeth McAnulty requesting a dimensional variance from section 209-43-1E of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow a second opening to a public street at the property located at 221 Suffolk Road, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, 19030, as depicted in the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
A second.
Okay, we have a second. Phil?
Yes.
Okay, Scott, pull the board.
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Al.
Yes. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Just got the Boyles next. Okay, next one is John Boyle of 11 Jennifer Lane, Marsville, requesting a dimensional variance to allow a 6-foot solid fence within the secondary front yard. John, we're gonna have you sworn in, and then we're gonna have our solicitor mark some exhibits.
And John here?
That's him right straight in.
Yeah, it's A. Ward and J. Boyle. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Sean Ward on behalf of the applicants.
Okay. And are the John Boyle gonna speak?
I would make a proffer. I would like to summarize the application. He can verify and adopt in the interest of brevity. I don't think it's a complicated case, but I defer to the board. If we want to go direct testimony, that's fine. But I think in the interest of brevity, I can summarize the case. I'm ready to share my screen. I have an exhibit packet all ready to go.
Okay, first we're gonna, Keith, mark some exhibits for us.
Sure. Mr. Chair, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal ZHB 1, along with the accompanying hardship letter. 2 will be a site plan submitted by the applicant. 3 is the permit denial letter to the applicant from Falls Township dated April 22nd, 2021. 4 is titled a petition of support that has several names and dates and addresses on, submitted by the applicant. 5 is 4 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 6 is the applicant notification and Zoom authorization. 7 are the neighbor notification letters as required. 8 is the proof of publication of the Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published May 25th, and then again June 1st, 2021. That is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman, and I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied, and this matter can proceed.
Okay. Yes,
All
John?
right, Mr. Chairman, may I share my screen now?
Sure. You want?
All right, does everybody see it? Number one.
Mhm.
Okay, very quickly, I've prepared an exhibit packet, which includes. Hold on. A1, yeah, it's all, most of it's attached to the zoning hearing board application. A1, which I've marked as applicant 1, is a site plan. A2, the hardship letter. A3 is a copy of the deed. A4 is the Bucks County parcel map. A5, the parcel aerial. A6, as mentioned by Keith, the petition of support. A7 is a photograph of the proposed fence. It's a typical photo. A8 are photographs of the subject property. A9 is on the tax map. I indicated similar fences in the immediate adjoining neighbor area. And A10 are the similar properties, photographs of the similar properties. So not to waste any time. With regard to the actual site plan, the property fronts on Jennifer Lane and Valerie Road is the side yard. It's an existing single-family dwelling. The applicants propose a new vinyl fence, which would abut the corner of the house at the very front. Moving to the adjacent property, it would abut or join an existing 6-foot high stockade fence on the adjoining property at 101 Juliet. On the Valerie Road side, the fence would come off the side of the house, similar to others in the neighborhood. It is proposed to be 6 feet off the property line. I know there was a concern about it coming out to the sidewalk, but we do agree to set it back off the sidewalk. And then at the rear, the fence would be 2 feet off the existing property line. And then again, would adjoin the existing fence on the 101 Juliet property. Get out of that. So then we had the hardship letter, which the board has in its packet, a copy of the deed. Here is the property. It's right off Trenton Road as you come in through Valerie Drive. I think it's the Penns Point subdivision. They are a corner property. Here's an aerial photo. Again, the same thing, Trenton Road in through Valerie. My clients, who are John Boyle and my coincidentally, my cousin, Anne Marie Ward, have circulated a petition to the adjoining neighbors they can get in touch with. So it includes 101 Juliet, 15 Jennifer, and 30 Jennifer. They did include a copy of a picture of the proposed fence. I would just want to correct or amend the application that it's not necessarily a solid panel. It's called an imperial fence. It has 3-inch wide pickets with a 1-inch separation in between. So there is some visibility through the fence. It is not 100% opaque. This is a corner shot of the subject property. This being on the right, Jennifer Drive, and this on the left being Valerie Drive. This entire corner would not be obstructed by the fence. So any slight triangle concerns would not be, in play here because there would be no obstructions. Pardon all the cars. My clients are in Disney with the family, so that's why all the cars are there today. I overheard somebody saying they went out to the site and they saw a bunch of cars and nobody answered the door. I did the same thing yesterday. I knocked on the door. I forgot they were in Disney. So, but this is the front of the house. You can see at 101 Juliet, they have a stockade fence, but if you take a closer look, it's similar, but it's wood, not PVC in nature to the subject proposed fence. This is a side view. Again, the fence would come along the Juliet and it would abut the corner of the adjoining fence on Juliet. I'm sorry, this is Valerie Drive out here. Okay. Again, Juliet, they have an existing fence. Again, if you take a closer look at it, it does seem to have pickets with some kind of space in between them. So the idea is to abut the fence on this corner and then have it abut to the side of the subject property, creating privacy on the side yard of the. This is the parcel map, which I have marked. There are similar fences. One just mentioned was 101 Juliet, 102 Juliet, 30 Jennifer Drive, 34 Jennifer Drive, and I believe this is 109 Juliet. The fence comes to the rear. That's probably a different property compared to the rest, as it's got a front yard and a rear yard, both fronting on streets, whereas the others are all corner properties having 1, 2, or 3
Yeah.
street.
We've approved quite a few of these already, Sean.
Okay, so, just not to beat a dead horse, but, we
Mhm.
have pictures in the packet showing the other fences.
Yep.
And based upon that, we would ask that the subject variance request be granted.
Mhm.
And at this time, I would just ask John, if you're in, please identify yourself. And I believe John should be sworn.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Boyle, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thanks.
John, you've heard my representations to the board tonight.
Yes, I do.
Are they true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I have.
And do you adopt them as your
Yeah.
own testimony?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Thank you.
yes, I do.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. If the board has any specific questions, we'd be more than happy to answer.
Hey, Doug, you have anything?
I have nothing, Al.
All right, Bill,
None.
Scott,
No.
myself, no. And is there anybody here from the public?
No public comment.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I move that the applicant John Boyle requesting dimensional variance from section 209-37.C2 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow a 6-foot solid fence within the secondary front yard at the property located at 11 Jennifer Lane, Morrisville, Pennsylvania, 19067, as depicted on the plans in accordance with testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Scott, pull the board.
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Al,
Yes. Congratulations. Go enjoy Disney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my business. May I be excused?
All right. Like they're in line at the Magic or the Space Mountain. All right. We have everybody in for Raising Cane.
And everyone, Mike McGinnis. from
Everyone's in.
Portland.
Okay, our next thing we have Raising Cane LLC, 640 Commerce Boulevard. Coming in, looks like for about 6 variances. We're gonna have you guys, whoever's gonna be speaking sworn in, if they're not a lawyer, of course, first.
So I have Adam Karachi with Raising Canes. And then we also have our architect and engineer. Might as well swear everyone in up front in case the board has any questions, if that works.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, I'll swear you all in at once, but then can you each say your name and spell it, please? Do you all swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, how about if we start with Adam? Could you just spell your name, please?
Adam Karachi, Caracci.
Okay, and Dusty?
Yeah, Dustin Johnston, Johnston.
And Kevin?
Kevin Tatlow, Tatlow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next thing, we have our solicitor mark some exhibits.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as EHB1, along with the accompanying variance list and statement in support of zoning appeal submitted by the applicant. 2 will be the letter to the applicant and also the Zoom authorization that was signed by Mr. McGinnis representing the applicant. 3 will be 4 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 4 will be 2 sets of land development plans that state overall site plan on one and site keynote plan on the second. 5 will be proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times showing that this matter was published May 25th, and then again June 1st, 2021. I've received previous to tonight's meeting a certification of service from Mr. McGinnis. If he doesn't have any pre-marked exhibits, I will mark this as A1. Mr. McGinnis, the letter that's attached to the certification of service was sent to the adjoining or abutting property owners as required. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yes, thank you.
Okay, and I've reviewed the letter. It satisfies the notice requirements. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Okay. All right, guys. What do you guys got going on?
Thank you. Good evening, Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin here on behalf of Raising Cane's. The subject property, 640 Commerce Boulevard. It's the site of the vacant Macaroni Grill in the township. It's zoned shopping center, commercial, and what we're proposing is the construction of a chicken finger only restaurant that would permit the operation of Raising Cane's on site. If anybody's not familiar with Raising Cane's, and I certainly understand that because this is the first proposed location in Pennsylvania, Raising Cane's is a national brand that has over 500 restaurants in the country. We have Adam here who would be more than happy to discuss with the board Raising Cane's extensive charitable efforts, involvement in the community, et cetera. If the board has any questions as to how Raising Cane's picked this site and why they believe they'd be a good fit in Falls Township, I would just make a note at the outset. One of the things that I was impressed by in reviewing everything with Raising Cane's is during COVID, they did not lay off any of what they call their crew members. They actually created a COVID relief fund for $2 million for their crew members to make sure that they could help out their employees and keep everybody employed throughout the pandemic. So they're very active in the community. They look forward to bringing that sort of work ethic and attitude to Falls Township if they're permitted to proceed. We think this is a really good fit for this area. As I think the board's aware, this is kind of the restaurant row in the shopping center. It's been vacant, this particular site, since March of 2020, and we're excited to fill that vacancy potentially. As part of this construction, we are actually reducing the gross floor area. So there's a reduction of building coverage. There's a reduction of impervious surface coverage. We're actually adding green space with this proposal. We have a reduction of parking, but the remaining 79 spaces, I think, are going to be more than adequate for a business like this. The 79 spaces is actually compliant with the zoning ordinance for a restaurant of this nature. But as I'll note, we are seeking a parking variance because technically we're reducing the overall parking in the center as a whole. But again, we're fully compliant with respect to our own parking use. The remaining area that was previously designated as floor area is going to be used to create two drive-through lanes, and it's going to more than accommodate any stacking and queuing of vehicles associated with this use. There's also going to be a nice outdoor patio area that's going to be associated with the restaurant. One other item that I'll note at the outset, because I know this is a question that comes up with other chicken restaurants, is queuing can sometimes be an issue. Raising Cane's is a little different than other restaurants you might be familiar with because Raising Cane's sells one product, and because of that, they're able to keep vehicles moving at a rate that some of their competition cannot. So we have, we're very confident with our design that there will be no traffic or stacking issues whatsoever associated with this use. Very briefly, just to give a rundown of the variances that we're seeking, we do have a variance that we're requesting permission to have a drive-through facility, and we need a variance to permit the outdoor seating. I think that those are both certainly in keeping with the restaurant, the uses at this particular center. We were very conservative in the variances that we were seeking, in that we requested a variance from front yard setback, seeking 109.3 foot setback, which is actually an improvement on the existing condition, but it's technically not compliant with the 120 feet that's required. We also have a parking lot setback of 4.1 feet. That mirrors identically the setback that exists there today. So those two conditions, we're either keeping them the same or improving them. And then the final two variances are for parking. And I've already covered, we are reducing the parking on site, but we have 79 for the use, and the parking variance is just as it pertains to the center as a whole. And the last variance relates to signage. We're not asking for a variance with respect to the minimum square foot. We are under the 32 square feet. It's just for the numbers of signs. And if you have the renderings, you know, we're talking about wall signs that really are minimal and I would think have a minimum impact in terms of the aesthetic design here. So what I might suggest is I could summarize substantially Adam's testimony, and if the board's unfamiliar with Raising Cane's and wants to hear a little bit more about their operations specifically, certainly he can provide more extensive testimony. And then I do have testimony I can elicit from Kevin Tatlow from Boyle, but given I think, you know, a lot of the technical aspect of this is relatively straightforward, I might suggest that I summarize testimony, and then if the board has any technical questions, Kevin or Dusty can answer them from an engineering and architectural standpoint.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, great. So if I had Adam testify, he would state that he's employed by Raising Cane's, that he's a property development manager associated with Raising Cane's, and that they're under contract to lease the subject property. He would affirm that the macaroni grill that's on site has not been operational since March of 2020. He would further state to the board that there are two drive-through lanes that are proposed with this use, that the two drive-through lanes have been shown to be more effective as opposed to some of their older locations with regard to queuing and ease of service, that Raising Cane's has gone through a lot of painstaking design to make sure that these drive-through lanes are safe, that they're 4 feet wide, that their team members have yellow safety vests, that they're rotated in every 30 minutes, that there's actually conditioned space in the summer to make sure that they're made as comfortable as possible, and that there's all safety precautions that would be required or taken associated with the two drive-through lanes. That even at their busiest sites, 22 cars are what stack in the busiest hours. This particular location would permit over 30 cars to stack with the two drive-through lanes. So Adam would testify that they're very comfortable that the site design is adequate and significantly addressed with this particular location. He would further affirm that all traffic would be contained to the interior of this particular site. And he would affirm my representation made at the outset with respect to Raising Cane's operation, that they prepare one type of food, and that helps with the queuing associated with the business. Furthermore, he would state to the board that there's approximately a 2.5 minute transaction time from the time somebody pulls into the site to the time that the food is delivered and they can exit the site. So it's a very quick and efficient mode of preparation and delivery of food. Adam would state that essentially the Raising Cane's operation has become increasingly drive-through oriented, that this has certainly been accelerated by COVID, but in Raising Cane's designs, actually a lot of the building is associated with kitchen expansion, that this proposed site has a reduction of floor area from what's there presently and would add to green space and reduce the impervious surface from what's present. That Raising Cane's is understanding, even though it's a national business, that obviously this is a local operation and are looking forward to get involved with the local community and hire locally, as we move forward, hopefully with being able to construct a new building and then hire local employees to work in association with the restaurant. Adam would discuss and affirm, as I stated, with the signage, that we are compliant with the size of the signs and that the number of variances associating with the signs are really necessary here because of the unique nature of how this site's oriented to be able to advertise to customers both to the front, rear, and side of the particular facility. He would state that finally we have 79 spaces allocated for this location, and that given his extensive experience with Raising Cane's and other operations throughout the country, the 79 spaces is more than adequate for a restaurant of this size. He would state that this would be in character with the community and with the other associated restaurants and QSR operations here, and that Raising Cane's is excited and hopeful to have Falls Township be its first location in Pennsylvania. And that would substantially be the testimony that Adam would provide to the board tonight if he was called to do so.
Okay, thank you.
And Adam, you've been sworn in, but you've heard the summary that I provided to the board. Is that summary of your testimony substantially accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. And as I stated at the outset, I do have Kevin and Dusty here. If there's any technical analysis of how the site's oriented or the architectural design that we'd like to get into, I think the dimensional variances that Kevin would testify to specifically sort of speak for themselves and that they're existing conditions of their improvements.
Okay, we'll open up the board comment and then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Doug, anything? Any questions?
Al, I have nothing. Thank you.
Bill?
The only question or concern I have is, as you know, there is the other chicken place across the street, and the traffic in there is horrible. You can't even turn down the road next to it. The traffic's all the way backed out to Sesame Place. You know, how, because you're saying since you have one product, you can get them in and out quicker?
Yeah, and I can share my screen here. And Adam, maybe you can jump in. Just I had discussed how with, oh, I'm trying to get this up, with your operation, the success that Raising Cane's has had in terms of speed of process. I made a representation of it being approximately 2.5 minutes, and that this site would permit, because of the way it's designed here, about 30 car stacking. And even at Raising Cane's busiest sites at peak hours, we're talking about 22 cars stacking. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Because we only sell the one item, the chicken finger meal, there's really no variety other than you can pick 2, 3, or 4 tenders. That allows us to know when you pull into the lot what you're ordering. So at those busy peak periods, we're just consistently dropping chicken into the fryer. Therefore, there's no sitting around and waiting for the customer to order. We're able to cook it. That's how we serve the food within 2.5 minutes of them ordering to the time they're leaving the lot. They're all buying the same thing, and it's just a matter of quantity. So that's how we are different than the other guys down the street. They have other things on the menu like milkshakes and salads and other items. And so they can't predict what people are buying. We can. And that's what makes us successful. I mean, we're not entirely different in what we're selling. It's just that we do it quickly.
Okay.
And that was my only concern, is the traffic flow, because we don't want to see it impacting other people in that area and actually going out into the road. But it sounds like it's more straightforward than, as you say, the other one does sell several products. That's all I had.
All right, thanks, Bill. Scott?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the design here. It's really hard to see any of the interior of the restaurant based on the drawings that we have here, but your patio is only going to be seasonal. Is there seating inside the restaurant?
There's seating for about 78 customers inside the restaurant.
Okay, and there's walk up, I guess you can walk up and buy inside as well. So, okay,
Correct.
that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Scott. I have nothing. I can see what you guys are doing. I understand your operation, so I have nothing further. Do we have any public comment? Anybody here from the public?
No public comment.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Raising Cane's Restaurants LLC requesting the following variances in connection with the construction of a restaurant be granted at 640 Commerce Boulevard, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania 19030 is depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board. 1, section 20924D, a use variance to allow an accessory drive-through facility. 2, section 20924B12, a use variance to allow outdoor seating. 3, section 20924F and table 4, a dimensional variance to allow a front yard setback of 109.3 feet where 120 is required and 82.9 feet is existing. Number 4, section 20924G2, a dimensional variance to allow a minimum setback of 4.1 feet to the parking lot where 50 feet is otherwise required and 4.1 feet is existing. Number 5, section 20942H12, a dimensional variance to allow for 5.05 off-street parking spaces per 1,000 square feet where 5.56 spaces per 1,000 square feet are required and 5.13 spaces per 1,000 square feet are existing. And lastly, number 6, 20945Q5A, a dimensional variance to allow a maximum number of 7 signs where 2 are otherwise permitted.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that, Al.
Scott, poll the board?
Myself, yes. Bill?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Great.
Congratulations,
Very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I ask one more question? It's not official. What kind, do you use peanut oil? Which I prefer.
We don't actually. I'm not entirely sure what we use, but it's not peanut oil.
All right, I'm just curious.
We'll change that at this site.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Okay,
Welcome
bye.
to Falls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, I should have done your first question. Do we have a motion to close the meeting?
Hey, did you beat Dan's record?
No.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Have a good night, all.
Yeah.